Hello everyone. Welcome to my college dorm room. I'm really sad that I couldn't be at the conference this year, and I really wanted to, but this is my first week of school, and so as an RA, I wanted to be here to welcome back all my girls and get ready for school. But since I couldn't come, my mom asked me to make a video sharing some of the things that I've been learning this year, and some of the things that have really impacted my walk with the Lord. And one thing that's really stuck with me and that keeps on being in my mind throughout this year, my quiet times and some classes, has been the idea of being a good storyteller. I've always thought it was so interesting that Jesus used parables as one of the main ways that he shared truth with people. But I think the reason that he did that was because as humans, we have this innate understanding of stories and we are driven towards them. When somebody asks me how my day is going, I immediately go into story mode. I say, well, I woke up earlier than I really wanted to, and then I went to my 8 o'clock class, and then I did this, and I did that, and I saw this person, and this went downhill, but this went uphill, and I go immediately into telling my day like my day is a story. I have heroes, and I have villains in my story, and I have ups and downs, and climaxes and resolutions, and we all do this. And I think that we tell our lives like they're stories because they are stories, and because God made us to be storytellers, a part of His story. So as I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be a storyteller of my own life in God's story, there have been 3 things that have really impacted me and have just helped me to think about how to be a good storyteller in my life. The first one is putting good stories in my soul. Now, my mom and dad have always been good literature people. They've always given me great literature to read ever since I was a little kid. Some of my fondest memories are sitting on my mom's lap and reading through books like The Hero's Tale or Chronicles of Narnia. And when I would read those, and when she'd read them to me, I would sit there and I'd think, I want to be Lucy. I want to overcome evil with good. I can be the hero or the heroine, and there's a bigger story outside of myself. And I think that when you read books that have really good stories, it does what one of my professors calls renewing your biblical imagination. It helps you to see yourself in a context of a story larger than yourself. So the first thing is thinking about putting good stories into your soul and to the soul of your children. The second thing I've been thinking about a lot is thinking about how I narrate my life. Now, going back to the example of when somebody asks me how my day is, it's funny because when you think about it, I go immediately into self-narration. It's like I am a writer telling somebody about all the events of my life. Now, when you think about that, and you think about how people tell their stories, we each tell our story in a different way. Some of us narrate like we are victors who are conquering obstacles with every step we take and every trip to the grocery store and every class we take. And some of us tell stories like we're the victims of happenstance. But I think that the way that we narrate our own stories makes such a difference in the way that we live. I know for me, even in the way I journal, if I tell my story in a way that is letting myself be defeated, it means that sometimes I'm not recognizing what God's doing in my life. The way that you narrate your story to yourself and to others and even to God makes such a difference in how you live your life. And it's so important to think of yourself as a narrator and to check and notice how we're narrating our lives. But the final thing, and it may seem simple, but the final thing that I've really been thinking about a lot is what a difference it makes to be a part of God's story. As a Christian, that means that I'm a part of God's redemptive history, that I'm a part of bringing God's kingdom to bear on earth, that someday Jesus will rule and reign, and I'm a part of that story that's coming to fruition right now. And thinking about that gives such a great importance to my little story. God's big story gives importance to our little stories, and it makes us live as though life is meaningful. We get to be co-authors with God as He writes the big story, and we spend every day being faithful and writing stories of our lives. It makes me want to live faithfully and to live in a way that matters. So those are just my simple 3 things that I've been thinking about being a storyteller, and that I really want to use in my life to think about writing a good story with my life and living in the reality of God's story. So I hope that that can help you all a little bit, and you'll think about writing good stories with your life with God. And so with that, I hope you have a great conference and that you eat lots of chocolate and that you really enjoy your time at the Mom Heart Conference. I hope you all have a great time.